Welcome to the Poetry Box Live and Happy New Year. So let's get started with our first reader. Poet and visual artist Cathy Cain is the author of A Shape of Sky, which is due to be released on Tuesday. Her previous books include Bee Dance, which was released in 2019, and Empty Space Places You from Finishing Line Press. Her honors include the K. Snow Paulann Petersen Award for Poetry, the Edwin Markham Prize for Poetry, and various awards from the Oregon Poetry Association. Her poetry has appeared in Read Magazine, The Poeming Pigeon, Verseweavers, and VoiceCatcher. Cathy taught in the public schools for over 30 years. She is the lucky wife of a very sweet man and the mother of 2 fine sons. Please welcome Cathy Cain.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today reading with Marcia and Pasquale. I want to thank you both, Shawn and Robert, for hosting the event, and especially for publishing my 2 most recent books. It's been a delight to work with the Poetry Box Press. And of course, I want to thank everyone for being here. I get very touched. All right, so first I'll just read 2 poems from my older book, which is called Bee Dance. How's that? Can you see it? For those of you who might have the book, the first poem is on page 15. And it's a memory of childhood innocence. California Buzz. I miss the hum of golden pollinators, thick honeybee and yellow acacia, blossom fuzz dusting, the tree swing's mellow trance, the Dutch door to the playhouse, honeysuckle sunned out against a white fence. Beyond, the small plot of orange and lemon trees, hours heavy with scent, low enough to pluck. Even under that rock, the black widow hanging, red hourglass warning, you could skirt her with luck. On page 42, I thought this next poem might be appropriate for our more intense communal experience during this last year of the virtual world. And there's a little word play here between bite, B-I-T-E, and B-Y-T-E. The poem is called Hunger. The bright path of green curiosity hangs ripe with fruit on your screen's shifting display. Light's weight entices, and you reach for an image as you step into this wondrous way. You enter a binary garden, a lush quartz maze, open tiny etched latches on simple red logic gates. What of this abundance have you yet to taste? Will it nourish or offend? With gravitas, you take another bite. Eat this garden's lovely light. And now I'm going to read from A Shape of Sky, my most recent book. I'll read first the opening poem of the collection on page 13. It's entitled, How Easily. Like a sieve, he says to her, your brain is like a sieve. And she thinks to herself, it's true. Then she glances above at the big blue sky and notes how easily the geese pass through. Page 32. This poem is about my obsession, my passion for art, both visual and the tactile experience. And I was inspired by the American artist Kiki Smith, who makes strange, often disturbing, but magical work. It's titled Red. Value, the relative lightness or darkness of a color, or a compulsion. I imagine one red tulip upright, with a bent green leaf. Place it in Red Riding Hood's hand. Then render the entire scene only in black lines, crosshatched on white. I engrave for nightmare. Yet, even when told this way, her face, her red cape, remain as dappled light, skipping through my frightful fairy tale. Red still startles dark, marks the hard craving of my wolf heart. This one's a little different tenor emotionally. It's on page 54, entitled Pillow Book. I have spent the day with my dying friend, and in my mind, she is so alive. But now I am here with you, my love. Our bodies intertwine, arms, thighs, ribs, permeable among the sheets, my skin translucent. Afternoon light, pearly gray, shines through the window. Her skin translucent among the fresh white sheets. Spent, you have softened and relaxed back into your creature self, separate. Her dark wine tongue slouches back into her throat. She is separate. You snore heavily with open mouth. Open mouthed, she breathes the deep and noisy rattle of death. We are warm with the work of love. She is warm with the work of dying. Light catches the edge of your fine collarbone and shoulder. Her neck, her shoulders, beautiful in form, grow whiter, more permeable among the fresh white sheets. We are almost gone from each other. Translucent arms, thighs, ribs, soles. Our bodies intertwine. We love, we are gone. Page 58, Rain. You will be replaced, you do not matter. Those rock-hard words remain, but time has bathed them in a curtain of rain, hung from blue clouds, heavy like a mother's breast, relaxed in delicate release. A curtain easing the dark mountain horizon into textured mist. A fine, pale rain that rushes out wide over a flat land strewn with boulders. Seen from afar as harmony, a reminder there is more to know than our final loss. This wet landscape of me, an exquisite rubble, random, innocent, now unbound, dripping, open, like those clear ancient spaces in the loose blue-rung rain. Page 71, New York City, NYC, the pilgrimage. I first saw those grave markers packed so tight when the bus I rode rounded the corner. Nothing like the grassy open cemeteries of Los Angeles. All those bodies must have been laid to rest, not flat, but upright, massed together, like when they patiently waited to enter Yankee Stadium, or when bravely striding across the subway platforms, they endured rush hour crowds down under. And how they climbed the stairs massed together up to the landing. All of them now, a band of angels pouring out into the light. Page 82. For this poem, I was inspired by the famous British poet David Hockney, whom I'm wild about. And I just wanted to say in a playful way how much fun I have when I'm drawing and painting. It's a very safe place for me. Hockney made a painting entitled Self-Portrait with Red Braces, braces being a British term for suspenders. My poem is called Self-Portrait with Red Suspenders, after David Hockney. I dress in his dark shirt, dull yellow pants, and snap that red elastic. Will you suspend your disbelief? In the studio, I push the brush clear through to sky blue, the scent of orange exuberance. I putter, painting pops of green epiphanies, frolic with the absurd, the daft, give heavy sanity across the room, a mere glance. A touch of ekphrastic rose, fuchsia euphoria, red suspenders. Reckless folly, implausible. Or is it? A tender madness color, thought caught, devil danced. Oh, how beauty braces us. Page 83, on Larch Mountain. I feel like a poet, perplexed, amused, playfully examining classical views. As wrapped in the woolly blanket square, I stare through this telescope from my canvas chair. The chair with its unfolded legs placed down, its dark framed back pointing up, though earthbound, to the stars and all the connecting lines in between that tether down in emptiness unseen. Dot to dot pictures that tell stories like Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, mother and child side by side, thrown like a crown to the sky. I'm an absence, a maw, a mere blue thing, a force like a constellation, an interval filled with what is held. Stories, night, this bright cold. Cheerful, forgiving the puzzle, the unreadable chart of heaven's arc. I look in, focus my heart, a polished mirror that gathers light and whispers it back to the curved side of night. I'll read two more poems, first on page 86. In 1976, the artist James Terrell, some of you may be familiar with him, bought an actual cinder cone in Arizona. It's called Rodin Crater. And he began transforming it for much of his life into an earthworks art installation and a naked eye observatory. The poem is called The Shape of Sky. Pretty out there in the terror of scale, to see a shape of sky, say through a telescope. Jupiter and the four Galilean moons, Io, Europa, Ganymede, Callisto, mere glints in the eye of an artist's enchantment. I'd like to believe I could walk down into that crater through the artist's caves and tunnels, overcome my fear of under the ground, go deep into his order, his other, in order at the end of his maze to rise amazed and see anew the magic shapes of color. Light set off against its absence to increase our black appetite, our hunger, for, say, a blue like the stained glass windows set in the thick stone of Sainte-Chapelle. I'm afraid of airplanes, but on a good night, I can really fly. not speedy, but far. A dream cruise, circling, then pulling out wide in big space, quiet space, turning out on a soar. So I say to myself, stay with the crater, its empty bowl, its access to shape and sky. Stay with the crater, fly off its rim. And the last one's a short one on page 88. When I notify you of my desire to be back in the life I loved, it will be subtle and quick. Perhaps October's gold turn of aspen leaf, or a snow-capped mountain peak, suddenly pink. It might be the cold apogee of white splash against green sea, or maybe a flash of red under the black wing of that bird flying low over marshland. Thank you.
Thank you, Cathy. That was gorgeous. You know, I find your poetry to be very comforting, especially in these troubling times. And I just have to thank you for reminding all of us that when the world seems too much, we can turn to beauty in ourselves and nature and artwork. And I love that last line from your self-portrait with red suspenders. Oh, how beauty braces us. And that pretty much says it all. So thank you so much for this.